are you from? How did you get into theater? What's your
Oh, yeah, I am from the Bronx, actually. I
No
was
way.
born in the Bronx and Westchester Square Hospital. And we moved up to Rockland County, which is about 45 minutes up the Hudson on the New York, New Jersey side, um, when I was 5. And uh, I so I didn't go to Catholic school like my brothers did. I I have 4 older brothers. I have 1 little sister.
Oh
My
wow.
Yeah, my 4 older brothers were all jocks. I mean, they were, #1 in the state in wrestling and football playing and like everything. And I got into theater because I kept seeing them come home like bruised and battered and like beaten up, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So I got the bug early. Like I remember my very first show I ever did, anything I ever did was in 5th grade. I played Santa Claus. Um,
Aw.
yeah, I know it was
Aw.
really strange. And but what happened was there was a troupe, uh, a local troupe of Shakespearean actors that was a kids troupe. So it was kids doing Shakespeare. And they came to my elementary school and did a production of Romeo and Juliet. I'll never forget it. And they were junior high and high school kids. And they were cut versions of them. And I just remember, I don't know what possessed me, but I tugged on the director's skirt and said, I want to do this. So I did
Aw.
Shakespeare for like 5 years. Um,
Impressive.
yeah, I mean, they were, it was called the Youth Shakespeare Theater, and it was based in Palisades, New York, and it was fantastic. In the summer, we would have sword fighting workshops, fencing workshops, elocution lessons, acting lessons. And then in the fall, we would put together whatever show we were putting together, and then we would tour it to different schools. I played Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet. I
Aw.
played Macduff and Macbeth. I played Demetrius in Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Fenton in Merry Wives of Windsor. I played like it was really thrilling. It was, and I forget, like it's been 1,000 years, so I forget about it. But it was really exciting. And then I got into the choir in junior high, and we did musicals in the junior high, which kind of was boot camp for high school. And then in high school, of course, I did all the shows, and it was just a natural progression. I don't know why. I always say I was born like knowing the lyrics to Gypsy already. Like they were
Aw.
like on a cellular
Uh-huh.
level. They were in my head. Um, but I started dancing. I was a dancer first, and I started dancing because when I was a sophomore in high school, we did Gypsy, and I was cast as Tulsa with no dance training at all. And I wore my father's shoes because they thought I was a dancer. I had to wear shiny shoes, so I had to stuff socks, like Mike in a chorus line. I stuffed socks in
Yes.
them and danced in my dad's shiny shoes. But the choreographer was a dance teacher also, Carol, and she said, uh, "Your birthday's coming up. I'll give you a birthday present. Come to the studio and I'll give you you could take my class." So I went and I took class, and unbeknownst to me, the owner of the studio is watching through this little window. And after class, she said, do you want to dance? And I said, yes. And then she said, well, I will give you a scholarship because you're a boy and they want boys. But you have to take ballet and jazz and tap. And I was like,
The
I can
All the
take
trifecta.
same
jazz.
time?
No, yeah. I mean, I would spend every day at the studio running from class to class.
Wow.
We had excellent teachers. It was called Coupe Dance Studio. We never had a store bought recital costume. They were all handmade. We never did competitions. We went to SAB summer School American
Oh,
Valley summer school. Like this was a serious academy. Like it
oh my
was, and
goodness.
it still is there to this day. It's still there. And I just went and did the Nutcracker 2019. I went and did play Drosselmeyer for them. But then I just started sort of auditioning and trying to figure out what this business was. And at the same time, I was taking the bus into the city when I was 17, 18 on Saturdays to take class at Frank Hatchett, which was on 49th and Broadway. And it was the second and third floor of this studio. And I remember the first time my teacher, the owner of the studio, Diane, said to me, you have to go into the city. You have to start going into the city and get training because you have to see your competition. You have to see what you're up against. So for the first couple of times I went, I went and I got off the bus and I walked down 42nd Street and walked up Broadway in the 70s. This little, bright-eyed idiot with his dance head going, gee, look at all these funny people. And I remember the first couple of times I went, I just stood there and looked up in the studio with the steamy windows for the dancers. And I was like, I'm going to go have lunch. And I was just running.
No.
But eventually I got my butt into class and it was pretty amazing. Anyway, so I got my first job when I was 21. My first paying job was I call it the Bus and Bus Tour of Chicago because
The bus and
basically it was a yellow school bus.
No.
And we played towns that he only had relatives in so that we could sleep in their basements.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's I paid my dues story. Ready? So one day we were driving through some mountainous region, right? We're like miles away from anything, and the bus breaks down. All the gentlemen got out of the bus and peed in a cup, in a big styrofoam cup. The girls chewed gum. They plugged the radiator with the gum and poured the pee in the radiator. That, my friends, is paying your dues. I started getting noticed, and I got my first Broadway show when I was 33. It's called Ain't Broadway Grand. It lasted 3 weeks. It was not grand at all. And then I started doing 95. I got Christmas Carol at Garden, Madison Square Garden, for Susan Stroman and Mike Ockrent. And that sort of started my relationship with Stroman. And from there, in 1999, I got cast in Contact at Lincoln Center. And we were at the Off-Broadway Theater in 1999 and then moved upstairs to the big theater, the Broadway Theater, 2001, the 2000 Tony Award for Best Musical.
Yo.
Congratulations.
But the reason why I tell that is it was a really, killer dance show. It was so hard. And I had to take a lot of time after that show was over, that it ended in 2002, to sort of put my body back together. I had surgery on my knees, a lot of therapy on my back. I have 3 herniated discs. So, and during that time, I also really started, I had taken acting class before, but I figured I have the downtime now. I can't really audition. I can't really, work right now. So I took a lot of acting classes and improv classes during that period, which was very helpful for landing Jersey Boys, which was the next thing. 2004, I landed that. Ta-da!
Wow.
Ta-da!
Okay, but there's a lot to unpack there. So first, that Shakespeare youth group was absolutely wonderful, and the fact that that sounds amazing. And you would tour different schools. That not only prepared you for junior high, that for national tours, and that's wonderful.
Oh yeah. We would go out of the area. We would just go to go to the middle school the next town over and come home. It wasn't like
you're getting used to a new place.
Yeah.
Even when
very
you play. Right. It's definitely very much like sports. Like you would still go to different schools in your county.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's intramurals Shakespeare.
Beautiful.
And Shakespeare is meant to be performed, not taught or read.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially from that young age, it's amazing that you were able to be exposed to that. I didn't really get exposed to Shakespeare until, pretty much like everyone, high school and stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
But I did a Midsummer Night's Dream in my sophomore year of high school. I played.
Everybody does.
I played bottom, and then I did.
Oh my God! Fantastic.
Yeah, I was the ass.
Yes.
And
I'd love to play Hermia. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, you'd be an excellent Hermia.
Yeah. Are you tall or short?
Middle. I'm 5'6.5".
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Hermia is supposed to be little and Helena's supposed to be very tall. which is like a
Okay.
sight gag. And there's a lot.
Okay.
There's like literally nothing but low and little.
Yeah.
Like
Though she be but
lines
little, she is
she's
fierce.
fierce. Nothing
Yes.
but low and little.
Uh,
I can be low. Well, no, I take it back. I'm not 5'6.5". I'm 5'5.5". I think.
Oh, okay. Then you'd be low. They
she
just
can
have to
do
hire-
Hermia.
Okay. I can.
They-
Yeah,
they
And
have
then
to hire
I did the 10-minute Hamlet
her.
the next year. It's like Shakespeare abridged. It's really funny. It's hysterical. But just being introduced to Shakespeare and to that heightened language from such a young age is, I'm sure, looking back, I'm sure you're so grateful for that.
I am. You know, it's really strange to think about. It hasn't really crossed my mind in a long time. But when I think about it, I was like, Jesus, I was literally doing Shakespeare in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And doing monologues and having sword fights and cutting off Macbeth's head.
Well, I can't help but think that prepared you to work with Des, you know, because Des is a Shakespeare.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it translates.
A little bit, maybe. So you started dancing at what age exactly in junior high?
15.
Oh, 15 in high school. Okay. I started dancing when I was 10, so I feel like I was late to the party. Did you feel like you were like that? I know a lot of men start way later, but I didn't really feel. I advanced quickly, let's put it that way, because of necessity, because I was one of 3 guys or 4 guys in the whole studio we were all around the same age. And it was, I just, for some reason, took to it immediately. I did feel like the ballet stuff I hated. And now I regret not being a stronger ballet dancer, but I hated it. And I used to sneak out of ballet class and into jazz class, and then the studio manager would come in and grab me and be like, "Get back in ballet class." I hated it. Yeah, the dancing was, and it really, it not only like brought me into New York and it brought me, you know, great success, but it also brought me to great people to watch work, to learn from. You know, a lot of really amazing actors I've been fortunate to either stand up stage and watch them work or understudy them. Actually, I was always an understudy for some reason. Because they trusted you.
It's really astonishing. A great education in the business with some really amazing people. Yeah. Really amazing people. Well,
that's how we feel watching you and seeing clips of you at the August Wilson for 12 years. We were watching like all of the Broadway.com videos and interviews with you, and you know they were saying it's like, hey, we can't go see Peter Gregus with August Wilson, like he's not going to be there when the show closes. Like he lives there.
If only. Oh God. So Jersey Boys, let's get onto that.
Yes.
What's that?
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
So long ago. Let me start with the audition because I was out of town in Pennsylvania doing a production of Man of La Mancha, a different production, and a couple days before the audition, I get a call. I get a call from my agent, and Tara Rubin is casting, and they said they're interested in seeing you for this role, like for all these roles. So I literally read Pesci, Jip DiCarlo. I read like 82 parts, and I read Crewe. And at that point, the scenes were really short. They were just little snippets because the script had not been finished yet. So I called Tara, and what happened was a couple of weeks before I had been in for her for the producers, and I was auditioning for Roger DeBreeze, who was bigger than life, very sort of like Crewe, but not bigger than Crewe. And she said to me, I called her before the audition. I said, I'm not quite sure how to play this. Can you give me a little hint? And she said, well, what you did in the producer stuff, go with that direction. Just do that. You'll be fine. So I went for it. And I'll never forget being there because I was the last person cast.
Oh.
There were 3 other guys there. One was short, one was tall and bald, one was blonde. Like they couldn't be more disparate of the 4 of us. Stephen DeAngelis, who is a comedy genius, genius. I can't believe he didn't get this all over me. He's comic genius. Anyway, and I remember walking in and seeing who I later found out was Bob Gaudio, because I had no idea what he looked like, sitting behind the table with Des and Rick and Marshall. And I remember doing the car scene, and I didn't stop talking. Like I kept cursing in Italian over. I just kept going and going, and they were laughing their asses off. And I was like, this was good. But I had to drive in the night before from Pennsylvania, spend the night, get up, go to the audition, do the scenes. They loved Crewe. Crewe was great. That was easy. My Pesci really sucked. And I remember leaving and going and getting back in the car and driving back to Pennsylvania, doing the matinee, finishing the matinee, and getting a call from Tara Rubin's office saying they really liked you. I think you're gonna get an offer. And I was like, great. What the hell is Jersey Boys?
So everyone said.
What is this show about? What the hell is this about?
You still had no idea.
No, which is really weird because usually there is buzz, even for out of town, with Des McAnuff attached to it. Like there should have been buzz, but there was no buzz.
Nothing.
There just wasn't any buzz about it. And I called a couple friends and, I said, do you know about this show, Jersey Boys? And they were like, no, not a word. So it was a real sort of shocker and a surprise to people when we kind of blew the roof off, because it was really under the radar.
And the whole world exploded.
Exactly. With the names attached to it, but it was also coming in a couple seasons of very unsuccessful jukebox musicals. So people who knew about it were like, oh, it's just another, it's another jukebox musical. It's 11 years on Broadway, not 12.
It's 11. Thank you.
11.
Yes.
But La Jolla was August 2004 till January 2005, and then we got the call in May of 2005 that we were going to Broadway.
It was May 17th.
Yeah. Sergio basically called me and said, I got cast. And then Sergio called me, because I knew Sergio from the dance world, and we had a lot of mutual friends and did parties together. So I knew who he was, and he called me. He said, I need you to dance captain the show. No one has any dance training, and no one did at that point. I mean, nobody. Dominic Nolfi didn't have dance training. He said, I need you to be able to. I need you to do this because I not only do you need to, note the show, but I need somebody who could teach it, and I don't think anybody can. So I was very. It was a nice gesture. I would have rather not done it.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because it was my first big speaking role, and for all intents and purposes, I was a principal with the other guys with the Four Seasons, and I just felt it was odd that I was in that position and having to act with them on stage.
Right.
I just felt odd.
No, I get that. Yeah.
It didn't sit right with me.
Okay.
I did it, and I guess I did it well. I talked about the choreography because it's the first thing you brought up. It's like the original choreography was much subtler, and it built over time. And what happened was when Danny Austin came in and got hired, each company sort of had their own way of doing things, and he had to sort of make everything one all across all companies, make them all the same. So that's where the choreography took a jump a little bit, because he was establishing this is it, and so he kind of upped the ante a little bit on the choreography, not changing it, but just sharpening it and making it a little bit more in tune. which was sort of like an odd thing for me because he would go out on the road with the company and then come back to New York and watch the show and go, they're doing it wrong. I'm like, no, they're doing what we did originally. They're doing it differently.
Exactly.
And if you want to change it, we'll change it. But it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
So how does that transition work? Like going from Sergio to Danny, like did Sergio like relinquish his role? Like, or did Danny add on? Like, how did that work?
No, that's a usual thing with bigger shows with multiple companies. They hire a resident director, they hire a production supervisor like Richard Hester. They hire a dance master, whatever they call them. Associate choreographer, sometimes they call them. Right. So they oversee all the companies. They oversee everybody. Because like at one point there were 7 companies of Jersey Boys out.
Yeah.
With including the Broadway. So
amazing.
And Danny and Richard and Wes Tyler, who was the resident director for a while, they were never home. Once they flew, from one company to another company, they had to go to Australia. And then they come back and they go to London, and they were insane for a number of years. They were crazy.
And Ron also.
Yeah.
And Ron did too. Ron had to fly everywhere. But I didn't really like dance captaining. I would not have chosen to do it, just because I felt uncomfortable giving notes to fellow actors that I had to act with. A dance captain is usually
a swing, right?
Yeah. It's usually a swing or someone in the ensemble who's not as prominent a feature as I was as Crewe. Yeah. So it was an odd situation, but I did it.
Well, so when you decided to relinquish it, how did that come about?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. It happened about 5 years in, and Danny Austin had come to New York, and we were having an understudy rehearsal. And Danny said, "I'll come to understudy rehearsal." I was like, "Okay, great, come on, whatever." So we're at understudy rehearsal, and we finished the opening number. And Danny gives notes, right? This, and then I go, "Oh, I have one more note." And Danny leans over to me and goes, "Why don't you let me give notes today?" And I looked at him, and I picked up my bag, put on my coat, and walked out of the theater. I was like, I'm done.
Oh my God.
No. And he called me like a half hour later. He's like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "I'm having lunch. Apparently you don't need me. I'm having lunch. I'm at the museum having lunch. Screw this."
At the museum. Which museum?
The Museum of Art and Design.
Okay.
On Columbus Circle.
Nice.
I've never forget it. I had a lovely afternoon. But I just think it was also, it was time. It was time for me to stop doing that because I was out of the opening number now. They had I had asked to stop doing that like a year before.
Oh
wow.
I was old.
Mm-hmm.
I was old, and there were younger people who could do this. Why do I need to do this? It wasn't so much like I didn't feel like I needed to do it, or like I didn't feel like, oh, I'm a principal, I shouldn't be doing this. I just felt really old doing it. I felt kind of stupid. But so they gave it to someone else, and then a year later I stopped dance captaining, and Katie took over.
Right.
Darling, yes. Katie.
Well, Katie had the best story because she was like, because the day, do you want to tell the story of the day you met Katie?
I remember it differently. No, I don't want to.
Everyone remembers it how they need to. Exactly. Oh, yeah. So well, if you're curious of Katie O'Toole's point of view when she took over dance captain, watch her episode, and it'd be really funny.
Okay.
But that's for everyone out there. But let's talk about the fact that you are a principal in Jersey Boys, because no one gives Bob Crewe enough credit. Point blank. I think.
Well, it's funny. When we did La Jolla, I had like 3-4 more scenes as Crewe. There was a scene after Big Girls Don't Cry. there was a scene in my apartment with me and Gaudio fighting about something, and the TV was on, and this movie was playing, and the line comes out, "Big girls don't cry," and we were like, "Oh,
that is in the movie."
yeah,
right.
If you're curious.
And so, but then they condensed it into a direct address.
Yeah.
Okay.
They connected. Yeah, they connected. Yeah. And then there was another scene where they're recording something. I can't remember what song it was, but smoke started to come in the studio, and firemen came into the booth, and I was like, "We'll be right out. We'll be right out." And then the firemen leave, and I'm like, "Keep singing." I don't know what song it was, but that actually happened. Like, they wrote a lot more scenes for me, just because they had written. You know, when you write something, you write it all. You write it all down, and so he had more scenes. And then when we were in La Jolla, as we were reading through, we spent like 3 or 4 days just reading the script over and over, and every day there'd be changes. And finally, like the last time, Des came up and he's like, "It's not the Bob Crewe story. It's the Four Seasons story." And I was like, "Yeah, I get it. I get it. I totally get it." But the bar scene in Act 2 was another character in La Jolla. There was a character named Walter who did the bar scene in Act 2 for Play the Fucking Song Already. That was a character named Walter, and they decided between La Jolla and Broadway to give it to Crewe because I really didn't have much to do in Act 2, and I was already established character.
Right.
So they said, let's give it to Crewe. Let's give it to Gregus.
And it really fits within, Crewe's temperament and everything about him. And you were talking about how the sequence of scenes leading up.
Yeah. There's identical parallel scenes in Act 1 and Act 2. There's 3 scenes before Sherry of problem, solved, I solve it. Then same thing with Can't Take My Eyes Off You, problem, I solve it. Can't take my eyes off you. It's
damn right you do.
Pattern.
Hell yeah.
And well, even though Des said like it's not the Bob Crewe show, he did even unintentionally give an homage to Bob Crewe because he wrote that song. He wrote that fucking song. So
he wrote that fucking song
already.
Which one? Can't take my eyes off you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a story about that too, about that song. I asked Bob about that song, like how he said it. First of all, it's three different songs they cut up and put together. The horn section was from another from another song. The I Love You Baby was from another song. You're Just Too Good to Be True is from another song. All of it's
whoa.
Yeah. But Gaudio had written the music, and Crewe was having a really hard time coming up with the lyrics. He said it was just wasn't coming to him. It was a new kind of sound, and it just wasn't. It wasn't clicking for him. And finally, one morning, he woke up on his his luxurious penthouse on Fifth Avenue. And the sun was coming up, and he was out on the patio looking into the bedroom, and he saw his lover Billy there. And he said the sun hit him, and he said, "You're just too good to be true." And he said he just got a pen and paper and started writing. So it's actually a gay love song. So there.
Yes, it is. Yes. Oh, for Billy. Well, now I know what his partner's name was. I wasn't sure of his name. Billy. Okay.
Billy.
Yeah. When I went to meet Crewe between La Jolla and New York, because Des wouldn't let us, discouraged us from meeting our real people. He wanted he said that Rick and Marshall had done their homework and interviewed everybody and really got all the stories out of them, and that we should pay attention to the page. But between La Jolla and Broadway, I spent 2 days out in LA, and I got to have lunch and dinner with Crewe, and he told me all kinds of crazy stories, and it was lovely. It was very, very lovely. And I remember him going through scrapbooks, showing me scrapbooks of him and Andy Warhol and him and this one and that, and like a magazine photo spread of his apartment. And there was a picture of his bedroom with this fur bedspread, and he just went, I was like, oh my God, look at that fur bedspread. He's like, yeah, it was kangaroo.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Bob Crewe.
That's such a bird-cage moment in the best way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I love it.
He was a fascinating man who had his fingers in a lot of stuff. He started as a model. He was a model.
Okay.
I mean, a really high-paid model.
Wow. Yeah.
He was on the cover of Esquire and whatnot. He showed me all these magazines that he was in.
Wow.
Wowza. Beautiful. This is like when he was in his early 20s, mid 20s. He was stunning, tall, blonde. I mean, just gorgeous. And he was going to School of Visual Arts to be an artist, to be a painter.
Right.
And somebody stopped him on the street and said, "You want a model? You're good looking. You want a model?" And I was like, "Sure." And then he started writing music. I guess back then it was simpler to just do everything. He didn't have any
back then.
goals,
yeah, right.
So he wrote Silhouettes, which was a hit.
Ayo, that's the name of our podcast.
He met Frankie on, I think it was I Go Ape.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Because he had 3 different people record I Go Ape, trying to make it a hit. And it was just never to be. It was never to be a hit. It was. He said he was sort of writing like a pop song with every pop reference at the time. Jaguars, and I mean, just like he said, it was the stupidest song in the world, and he kept pushing. And but that's where he met Frankie. So when he ran into him again at the Brill Building, that's literally how it happened. They just ran into each other and, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, do you know you're the most quoted character in the show? Hands down.
I am?
The stars are in alignment. Destiny awaits.
Come on.
A name and a sound. Yeah. You're the most quoted. Absolutely.
A name and a sound. God, I haven't thought about these lines in years. But the fun part was after La Jolla, when we actually started getting to know Bob and Frankie and even Tommy. Tommy wasn't allowed to go to California.
Right.
He wasn't allowed to come see the show because he would get arrested if he crossed state lines. Yeah. That's what I was told. But he snuck in with Pesci. And
he snuck in.
Yeah.
Leave it to Tommy.
He drove him in.
Yeah, and Steve Govey was playing Pesci. Steve, Steve's my height, and he slumped over and he had glasses on, and Pesci after the show was like, "You're killing my career, you're killing my career." But I'll never forget meeting Bob and Frankie in La Jolla back, like the first preview came and we did the show and the stagehands were like, don't get your hopes up, it's La Jolla, they're kind of reserved. And by the end of the show, they were tearing the chandeliers off the walls. They were going crazy. And we were all like, wow, what just happened? It was crazy. And I remember Frankie coming in to the dressing room and everybody just stopped dead still. And he just looked around and went, "Thank you," and walked out. He could not speak. He couldn't speak. He couldn't speak. It was so sweet. It was really, really sweet. We got to know Bob Gaudio a little bit just because he was in with the music. And actually the vocal doubling that we did didn't originate in La Jolla. It did. We didn't do it originally in La Jolla, and he came back after a couple of shows and said, it's not our sound. We don't, we're missing the thickness of it. And they were like, well, how did you record it? Like, how did you make that sound? And they said, well, we double and triple track and shove them all together. So we couldn't get away with that live. So everybody doubled. Right. Everybody doubled backstage. I doubled Nick Massey.
as the
All
bass,
night long.
which is yeah.
Wow.
All night long. So that's how it started. Was in La Jolla was the doubling started.
Wow. Well, another thing that you started. Can you please tell us about the metaphor line?
Oh God.
Yes.
Okay. Now I've been told that Rick said that he wrote a period between metaphor. Not true. That line came later in rehearsal, and it came like it wasn't in the original script, and it came later because I can't remember the reason why, but I remember looking at it going, okay, this is a big word for Tommy. Like this is a big word for me to say to Tommy, so I have to spell it out for him.
Yep.
This is a metaphor. Yeah, but that's where that came from because my motivation or action was to teach him the word, and I have to say there were a couple lines that were cut in La Jolla that I just have to mention because they were.
Please.
So my favorite line that was cut, my favorite line was after I go ape. I can't remember who says what. I think it's Tommy says no. He doesn't know it. It's something about a nuance.
Yeah. You want a nuance?
Yeah,
Here's a nuance. Take the ape suit and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And Tommy says, "What's a nuance?" And I think Bob goes, "It's a shading of expression." And Tommy goes, "In an ape suit?" That's the line that was cut. That's such a killer line.
That is a good line.
Good. And the other one, I don't know if I could say. It's kind of dirty.
We're all
You can.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nick's final speech, right? He not the Hall of Fame speech, his goodbye speech before he
Uncle
leaves.
Nicky.
Yeah. He said he's talking about fooling around with other women. And he said, now they call it sexual addiction, but back then we just called it pussy.
Oh.
Wow.
And it lasted about 3 shows in La Jolla, and you could feel the frost go up the walls of the theater when he said, I mean, it was powerful. It was a really powerful line. It was a very brave line to write, and Bobby Spencer delivered it beautifully. It just was just over the line. Just over the line.
Well, and that really changes his whole character if he says the word pussy, because like he's all about the enigma and still being kind and sweet underneath that exterior. Yeah. So especially in Act 2, that would have really like changed everyone's perception of it. Yeah. Sort of. Yeah. I think.
I mean, but
at least today.
It speaks very much to the time period.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like, it's such a period, it's such a period piece. So I don't know if it would be as offensive as it is today, but it was powerful when he said it. And God bless Bobby Spencer. Bobby Spencer is one of those actors that is like, I'll say pussy all day. I don't care. He's so balls out. He's so balls out, and he embraced that line like nobody's business. He was like, yeah, I'll say it. I don't care. Going back to dance captaining.
Yes.
We did a lot of press during the first year, right? And so it was always me and Richard, because I had to go into the space and figure out where everybody was supposed to be and whatnot, because I was dance captain, and the 4 boys, and that was it. And we would get to a venue, and immediately, this is what would happen. Daniel would disappear, like in a puff of smoke, just disappear. Bobby would be talking to any cute woman anywhere. And Christian would be on the phone with either his wife or his agent. And John Lloyd Young would be in a corner pulling his tongue going, kee, 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 kee. And literally to get them all on the same page and the same...
oh my God.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. They were all, the minute we got there, they would scatter to the 4 winds. And I'd be like, oh yeah. It's Katie, about Katie Agresta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of her exercises. It's about relaxing your tongue and not using your tongue to make the sound. Anyway, so all those idiots who play Frankie walk around.
All those idiots. No, but that makes sense. They're just four guys, you know, and like four brothers who just have totally different things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're just crazy. I mean, they got along. They didn't get along. They fought. They didn't fight. They, you know, it was a lot. A lot was thrust on them right away.
Of course.
You know, once we opened and once it really became a hit, a lot was thrust on them. A lot, and they worked hard. I mean, they worked hard on stage and off stage. It was exhausting.
Well, you too. So who were your go-to cast members to like talk to?
Jen Namo.
Oh, Jen
Namo. From day one, Jen Namo was just an angel doll to me. I just adored her, and nothing to disparage anybody else who played Mary, because there were some genius Marys, and Kara Cooper was brilliant. But no one ever, just something about Jen's performance was never matched. She was so different and odd, and you know, I guess I'm a little like, you know, jaded because I worked with her so long. She was so perfection in every role, every minute little role, every one-liner was so good. She was amazing. She was really amazing. I mean, I love Kara. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody, but
no, of course. But
Kara was a close second, I gotta say.
Wow.
But Jen was just like nobody. She was amazing. She's hilarious.
And that's what all of her successors say too. Like they all look up to Jen.
They all, and she's a sweetheart.
You know, being a dance captain and having Jen Namo as a dancer, that was a stretch. There were things I couldn't note her on because I couldn't make out what she was doing. I'd be like, Jen, you're not doing the choreography. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. I can't. So let's go over this. She will say herself, I am not a dancer, but damn, she's got energy. She's got
spunk.
You know, she sang Boyfriends back in La Jolla.
Yes,
she told us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
man, she rocked that shit.
What's amazing, on our International Women's Day episode, we did it with Katie O'Toole, Sarah Schmidt, and Jennifer Namo. She did her recreation of the
Valley with an eye
line. Like, it was like listening to the cast recording, but in front of you.
Yes.
Because we never got to see her do it live. So she's doing it for us. We're like, can you please do it? And Sarah and Katie were also like, oh my God. Like they were like, you could tell that they were just transported back. And, you know, it was just such a beautiful moment.
She was miraculous. But, you know, Des also hired her for Big River and a real character. He liked her a lot.
Yeah.
He thought she was really talented. She's amazing. She's amazing. I love her dearly. She was my go-to. Richard Hester and I became very, very good friends because we spent so much time together that first year. We spent so much time doing press and special events. And so we just naturally fell in with each other, became really, really close friends. Who else? Steve Govea was my buddy from La Jolla. He was out when we were, Steve is straight and married, just so you know, but we were boyfriends. We spent so much time together. He has a Raiders of the Lost Ark pinball machine in his apartment that I love.
Nice.
But we fell in love with each other completely in La Jolla. I mean, it was insane. He was so sweet and so funny. And he took me, because he's from La Jolla, he took me around and we hung out all the time. And yeah, you know about the band, right? The Red Dirt Band. Right?
Yes. Could you explain it for everyone?
The Red Dirt Band was sort of Dez's sort of house band at the La Jolla Playhouse. They weren't used for every show, but when Dez would do an event and he would sing, he would use the Red Dirt Band. So that was Kevin and Steve and Hoops, the keyboardist, and the guitarist. I can't remember the guitarist.
Joe Payne.
So the four of them were his sort of band. And when Jersey Boys came around, they used them. They used them in at the theater. And so when when the show came to New York, they came with it.
Mm-hmm.
None of those numbnuts had lived in New York before. They got a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, I think it was a 1-bedroom apartment on 9th Street and 1st Avenue. I lived on 9th Street between 1st and 2nd. So the day they arrive in New York, they're all, I said, I'll meet you on the corner. I'm so excited. I'll meet you on the corner. So I go down there and I see them all standing shoulder to shoulder, looking around like this.
Oh,
They were so cute. I took them out to lunch. And but they were our band, and they rocked that music. Donnie Kerr was animal. We had amazing players, amazing band in the show. And Ron's vocal arrangements and Steve Orge's orchestrations. Poor Ron in La Jolla. Des has this very interesting way of rehearsing. He won't go beyond a scene until it's exactly like he wants. So we could spend 8 hours a day on 4 pages of dialogue, but until he gets what until it's cool and in his head, what he wants, he's not moving on. So and that goes for choreography, that goes for music, that goes for everything. So we would spend 3 hours on a page of dialogue.
Wow.
And it was I mean, he's very detail oriented, and he loves to chat and talk about things. He loves to do the scene and then talk about it, and then go back and do it again and talk about it. He likes the sort of give and take of it. But Ron was in rehearsal all day with us, and then writing charts all night.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
All night long, and then come to rehearsal, and on breaks he would just go.
Aw,
and
poor
then,
Ron.
10 minutes later, Ron, and okay, we're back. But it was crazy. He was so crazy. It was an interesting process. La Jolla was very a lot of tug of war because it was so new, and Rick and Marshall and Des, everybody was tugging at what they wanted. Des wanted certain structural things. Marshall and Rick wanted, a little bit of different things, and it wasn't easy, but it got done. But that's sort of like it's the nature of the business with writers and directors and music directors. It's very much the nature of the business where everybody's sort of trying to put their imprint on it. And Marshall had never really worked with theater people before.
Right.
So he was like, these people are weird.
Yeah.
These people are very,
Who are you people?
Yeah, he didn't
talking
talk
about
to
your
me.
feelings.
Yes.
He didn't talk to me for until well until Broadway. He didn't.
Really?
He didn't talk to me in La Jolla.
Wow.
No, he was scared of everybody. But my favorite moment backstage during Jersey Boys New York was I had like a bigger break between during Oh What a Night and all that stuff. I had a chunk of break, and every Wednesday Rick and Marshall for the first almost year would come and sit in the stage manager's office. So, and Richard would be there. So it would me, Rick, Marshall, and Richard. And I would laugh uncontrollably. I mean, Marshall fucking Brickman,
Yeah.
Oscar winner, geniusly funny, subtly funny.
Yes. So in what way? Because Annie Hall is one of my favorite movies ever, and so what? He's very soft spoken. So what kind of subtle humor? Can you think of any particular?
I can't remember a lot of it. It was just conversation,
Ooh.
and things would come up, and he would throw a bomb on there, a little whatnot, and I would just die. And it was really funny because it became that you forget that he has an Oscar, and you forget it's Bob Gaudio, and you forget it's Frankie Valli. Like Frankie and I used to sit and talk about our mother's meatball recipes.
Oh my
Really?
god!
Like we'd be like, does
raisins
she
or no
use
raisins?
milk or water? Huh?
Oh, well, raisins or no raisins? No raisins. Good.
No
Okay,
raisins.
Yeah.
But like, do you milk or
Water,
like does your mother squeeze the bread in water or milk? Oh, mine did milk, mine did water. Like we would talk about things like that. And I was like, I would forget that they were Frankie Valli and Bob Gaudio. And it was really nice. It was great. Frankie's an angel. He's such a great guy. He's quiet. He's quieter than Bob. They were at first, really reserved because they were not part of the theater community. So Rick had Bob had done. He had produced, I think, a musical in London that Sergio, I think, choreographed. Actually.
It was Peggy Sue got
Yeah,
married.
Yeah, but he didn't really have a lot of theater experience. Like I said, you look at the Tony Awards and they're like this. They're all the three of them are like, thank God Pesci was there to do the talking. But over time, they really loosened up, and I really enjoyed spending time with Bob a lot. He was just a great guy, and his wife and his kids were around, and we got to know them and hang out with them, and they would throw parties for us and stuff. It was really great.
Yeah, what were the parties like? The
parties were a drunken mess. This crew could drink. I mean, first of all, you've got the band that, just pile it down. Donnie Kerr, who doesn't drink anymore, but he did then. We were drunken. Our opening night party, I didn't get home until like 7 in the morning.
Wow.
I didn't get home until 7 in the morning. I think I made out with like 2 or 3 people. I have no idea. It was, but parties were really at the beginning. It's a long run, so
the long run, yes.
Everything sort of settles down after a while. The big parties don't happen so much anymore. They happen, but not as often. People get into a rhythm of their lives, and the show is part of it, but just part of it. You know what I mean? It's to get the kids to school, or I have this to do, and then I have to do my show. So it became more family oriented, more like we would have Thursday night Mountain Manhattans.
Nice.
In our dressing room, and I bought a 2-liter barrel that you would age. I bought 2 of them, and I would age Manhattans in them for a month, and then we'd drink out of them.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Ooh, smooth.
Really? Ooh, I love a good Manhattan. Yeah, I'm a whiskey girl, so there you go. Would you bring bitters?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it sort of became this sort of like, we would do it, and then we'd go across the street sometimes. Like Bryan Cranston was there with the show, and he always had basement parties at the theater. We would go over and hang out, and I'm hanging out with Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
For God's sakes, Bryan Cranston. It's just the loveliest man in the world. So sweet. Like, if he wasn't Bryan Cranston, he would be working at Home Depot. He's just such a plain, great guy. Just a really simple guy who has.
That's so nice to know.
Harvey Firestein was over there for the end of Hairspray. We used to play poker on Wednesdays between shows.
What?
He would go, play with Harvey. He'd be in, his makeup and whatnot, and
we would
sit in the lobby and play poker between shows on Wednesdays, and he would always win, and he'd bet millions of dollars because he's rich. So crazy. It was nice to now about the Saturday night screen.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So
You started it?
That's you.
Me and Steve Govea.
Oh my gosh.
It was a Saturday night, and we had it was a busy week. We had a lot of press, and Govea literally was like, his head was on the table. He was so tired, and I was like, just get up and scream out the window. Just get up. Just scream out, hello, Broadway. So we did it. And like every Saturday night, we would just start doing it. And then the theater across the street started shouting back at us. The Hairspray kids started shouting back at us. And that's how it started. And it got completely blown out of proportion. I mean, there's YouTube videos of how blown out of proportion this got. It was insane. I mean, they were full production numbers in the streets.
I know. Well, before the closing show, I was there.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I was in the street.
The So Long Farewell. Oh,
yes.
God, it was insane. That was, I mean, it got bigger than I wanted to. I thought it was just a little fun thing that we would do, but, you know.
Yep.
But we did a coat drive with Sting. Sting was there with Last Ship.
Last Ship.
Family oriented, more like we would have Thursday night Mountain Manhattans.
Nice.
In our dressing room, and I bought a 2-liter barrel that you would age. I bought 2 of them, and I would age Manhattans in them for a month, and then we'd drink out of them.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Ooh, smooth.
Really? Ooh, I love a good Manhattan. Yeah, I'm a whiskey girl, so there you go. Would you bring bitters?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it sort of became this sort of like we would do it, and then we'd go across the street sometimes. Like Bryan Cranston was there with the show. And he always had basement parties at the theater. Oh, we would go over and hang out, and I'm hanging out with Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
For God's sakes, Bryan Cranston. Just the loveliest man in the world. So sweet. Like if he wasn't Bryan Cranston, he would be working at Home Depot. You know, he's just such a plain, great guy. Just a really simple guy who happens.
That's so nice to know.
Yeah, you know, Harvey Fierstein was over there for the end of Hairspray. We used to play poker on Wednesdays between shows.
What?
He would go, play with Harvey. He'd be in, you know, his makeup and whatnot, and
his
we
curlers.
would sit in the lobby. Sit in the lobby and play poker between shows on Wednesdays, and he would always win, and he'd bet millions of dollars because he's rich. So crazy. You know, it was nice to now you know about the Saturday night screen.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you started
that's you. That's you.
Me and Steve Govea.
Oh my gosh.
It was a Saturday night, and we had it was a busy week. We had a lot of press, and Govea literally was like, oh, his head was on the table. He was so tired, and I was like, just get up and scream out the window. Just get up. Just scream out, hello, Broadway. So we did it. And like every Saturday night, we would just start doing it. And then the theater across the street started shouting back at us. The Hairspray kids started shouting back at us. And that's how it started. And it got completely blown out of proportion. I mean, there's YouTube videos of how blown out of proportion this got. It was insane. I mean, they were full production numbers in the streets.
I know. Well, before the closing show, I was there.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I was in the street.
The So Long Farewell. Oh,
yes.
God, it was insane. That was, I mean, it got bigger than I wanted to. I thought it was just a little fun thing that we would do, but, you know.
Yep.
But we did a coat drive with Sting. Sting was there with Last Ship.
Last Ship.
Yeah, he went into the Last Ship, and so Sting was there. We did a coat drive and sang Christmas carols at half hour. It was like insane. It was insane. It was insane.
That is insane.
And it got bigger, and we got full blown numbers and microphones, and it was insane. It was crazy.
Well, you had a $1 billion idea.
Yeah, but it was things like that, like. And the birthdays and the births and the weddings and they just become your family. You know, both of my parents died during the run of the show, and there's nothing like getting back to work. There's an old saying. It's like Dr. Theater. You just you thrive on this thing, and it sort of takes you out of your body for a while. And it really was, you know. it was so lovely to go back to work after my mother's funeral. It was a relief to go back to the theater, and it was a relief to make people laugh. And it was a relief to have fun, and then to be around my peers and be supported. And it is magical. It's a magical thing to do. To do a run on Broadway is one thing, but to do 11 years is like the rarest of the rare, the rarest of the rare. I'm so fortunate. I can't tell you how fortunate I have. The people that I love from that show. Jessica Rush, I just adore her. Mark Latito, John Edwards, Russell. Oh God, there's so many. Oh God. Frank Galasso. Do you know Frank Galasso?
Mm-hmm.
He is possibly the funniest person on the planet, and I'll tell you how funny he is. We were backstage one day, and I had a mint in my mouth, and he made me laugh so hard that I swallowed the mint and then threw up. That's how hard he made me laugh. He is the funniest person on the planet.
Oh my
Frank
God.
Galasso is a genius. He would make me, and he played the Phil, the guy in the
Recording
studio,
studio.
with me, which was nothing but torment every day of my life. Was torment. He would sit next to me and say the craziest shit. But he would be like, Longinus called. I'm like, who the hell is Longinus? Like, Longinus is on line 2. He wants to talk. He would make me cry with laughter. Of course, Sarah Schmidt. Sarah's my little angel girl. She it's really interesting, her life now as opposed to Jersey Boys, because it was a lot. She was aging into a different kind of woman than she started the show out as. And I feel like a lot of stuff was passing her by that she wasn't experiencing and wasn't happy about it. And I'm happy that her life is so amazing right now, because she really deserved it. She gave up a lot to do Jersey Boy. She gave up a lot of her life. And the fact that she has a great guy in her life and a great job, God bless her. Erica Piccini, I have lost track of, though. That's the one I have lost track of. I haven't found her in a while.
Erica is hysterical. On her Instagram, she's my favorite. She's wild.
I should follow her on Instagram.
Peter, you go down her feed. She is off the wall humor. I cannot get enough of it.
Yeah. She's crazy.
She's
literally crazy.
Yeah.
She's like, out of all of them, she's certifiably insane. Depends on the way, but Erica is out of her mind. She used to torment me, though, when I was dance captain. She would be like, I'd be like, okay, it's 1, 2. And she'd go, I thought it was on 1. I thought it was on
she would do that.
Oh yeah. And I was like, no. And then I would like, is it on 1? She was so serious. I'd be like, hey, is it on 1? No, it's on 2. Are you sure? She really.
That would drive me nuts.
No.
Terrible woman. But I like her.
So in the Theater Mania video that you, Sarah Schmidt, and Mark Latito did about your long run, you said that you guys got 2 weeks off a year, 4 personal days, and 1 sick day a month.
Yeah.
Is that?
No, you get 4 personal days a year, 2 sick days a month.
2 sick days.
2 days a month. Okay.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
How often would you have to take a 6 day?
Well, here's a little secret. You don't take a sick day when you're sick. You take it when you're sick and tired.
Oh, that's a great line.
Oh.
Okay.
I would go for about 3 months without taking a day off, and I got pretty crazy. I'd get pretty crazy, and so I would just take a Sunday off, because I was married then, and I missed my husband, and I always knew when he needed me, like when he needed me to take a day off, because he would be extra cranky. But it is a difficult thing to do a long run. It is a job. And your job is to be on and to be, producing and consistent, and there's so many personalities to deal with, and sometimes you just don't want to deal with all the personalities. You just want to go in, do the job, and leave. You don't want to have to talk to this one. You don't have to listen to that one. It's sometimes you just want to put a hood on and go like, I'm just doing my job today. And some people get upset about that. Some people get bent out of shape, like, oh, he didn't say hello to me today, or he didn't talk to me today. And I would say to people, I'm quiet today. I'm gonna be over here. It's a job, and also it evolves, and the audience evolves, and they go from being a sophisticated tri-state area, know every line or get every joke, and to being more touristy and more international. People from all over the world come, which is great, but they don't speak English as a first language, and they're not getting my jokes, and they're not laughing, and that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets frustrating. So it does get frustrating every once in a while, and you go like this,
right?
There's the levels.
Yeah, and my acting teacher said to me, you have to give yourself a break. Not every show is going to be a knock it out of the park. If you get 4 or 5 a week of that, you're doing better than most. Mm-hmm. You could strive for it, you could go for it, but don't kill yourself if you don't get every laugh, if you don't get, because you'll never last. You'll just be miserable and upset all the time. So that helped me a lot. That was really great wisdom that was imparted to me, and it didn't come easy. I mean, I got very frustrated about 4 years in, 3-4 years in. I got really angry. Some of the casting I was not happy with, but the bottom line is, who the hell am I to care about, to be one to say, oh, I don't like this guy in the character. It's not my job. Shut the hell up, Peter. Just do your job. Say your lines. Tell a story. You bring a book backstage. I used to do crossword puzzles. You try to temper your FaceTime with people.
Okay.
My favorite time to hang out with the girls was half hour on Saturday nights. I would just go hang out with them at half hour in their dressing room and laugh my ass off. Mm-hmm. The swing room was also a lot of fun too. Mm-hmm. But you have to give yourself a break. You have to know you're not going to hit it out of the park every night. You just have to. Because what happens is you start pushing to get the laugh rather than tell the story. Right. You're pushing to get the laugh. You're like, I need that laugh, instead of telling the story, and the laugh is incidental. Right. I mean, there were times where I knew that if I said something and I tilted my head the right way and crossed my arms or whatnot, I would get a laugh. I'd be completely dead inside. But and I had the scripts by my dressing table, and I had my notebooks from rehearsal, and I would look at them every once in a while just to refresh my mind of like, oh, okay, that's the intention there. Right. That's the action there, not what I'm doing. Because it started playing to the audience, it's a natural habit. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I felt like I got a rhythm of it where I was telling the story with a little bit of schmaltz, a little bit of showbiz thrown in. But I mean, it's easy with Crewe. It's easy to fall into because he's bigger than life anyway. Mm-hmm. So if you don't jump up and down and scream, play the fucking song already, everybody's going to be disappointed.
Right, that's true. Do you feel like Crewe should have had a monologue?
No, absolutely not. No, okay. I don't. I think mm-hmm. I think he, for the 4-season story, I think he was important enough. Mm-hmm. And if somebody wants to write a musical about Bob Crewe, go for it. Mm-hmm. But it was very clear. I was very clear in La Jolla that they had tried to make more of him, but Des really wanted to to the essence of the story to be about the four guys.
Right.
So it was okay being the fifth season. It's fine.
Well, you're the coolest one.
I used to call myself Marjoram.
Marjorie.
I was Marjoram. I was
Yes.
the fifth season. I was Marjoram.
I love it. Stephen Gatos from Variety wrote an article about how Dan Crewe, Bob Crewe's brother, and a few others wrote a book pretty much condemning the writing in Jersey Boys and saying that Bob Crewe was basically a punchline. And there are, if you look up Bob Crewe online, you will see that he was an icon. He was a gay icon. He was just a really renowned songwriter. But if you only were introduced to him in Jersey Boys, you might think a certain way. So our question to you, Peter Gregus, who played him for the longest, like, what was your response to this article and even to this book being written in the first place?
First of all, he was never a punchline to me.
Mm-hmm.
I always, my main sort of motivation to him was he was always the smartest guy in the room. Not that he was gay, not that he was flaming or crazy. He was the smartest guy in the room, which I hope was expressed. You know, if Dan didn't get that, then Dan didn't get that. But that was my intention. I will tell you that I know that Bob did not like the portrayal. I know that Bob Crewe did not like this portrayal. When we were in La Jolla, he made some grumblings about, you know, the way I looked, the blonde wig, that terrible blonde wig, and you know, the turquoise jacket. So when we got to New York, they had taken out a lot of sort of the flamboyant, the bigness, the flamboyance. And we did the first couple of readings, the table reads of the script, and Des said, "I don't like it. Put it back. Put all the stuff back from La Jolla." And I was like, "Okay, you know, I'm fine either way." So they put it all back in, and we are a couple of weeks into rehearsal, and we're on a break, and Des is on the phone screaming his head off at Bob Crewe. And apparently what was happening was Crewe got wind that the old script was back in and was threatening Des, and Des was finally screamed, "Well, I'll just cut your fucking part out," which to me was like, I was trembling because it was my first big speaking role on Broadway, and I was going to be cut. So apparently Dan and Rick talked him off the ledge and said, you know, let it go. And he did. He wasn't as close to me as, like, say, Daniel Reichert and Bob Gaudia were. Like, he kept his distance from me because he didn't like the way it was portrayed. But I have a job to do, and I have a script to follow, and I have a director to satisfy. So I tried to walk a fine line with him, and again, like, try to be the smartest guy in the room, to, you know, have a wit about me. When the subsequent productions went out, Des actually made the crews gayer than me. They were much more flamboyant than I was. And I would often get a note saying, "Gay it up. Des wants you gayer. Des wants you more flamboyant." And I was also given a note, "If you don't gay it up, you're going to get fired." So it was a hard role to play, in that I had to satisfy a real person and a director, you know. And I remember in La Jolla talking with Des, you know, saying, how where do you want him on the gay scale? He said, well, play with it, And one day I'd be like, way gayer than I was on stage. And he'd be like, let's bring it down a little bit. And then some days I'd be really butch and he'd be like, bring it up a little bit. So it wasn't like he came at me and said, be a flaming queen. It was just a matter of finding the balance of it, which I thought I found. If Dan and others don't think that, I'm sorry. I had responsibilities to a director and a script. That's my first priority.
Of course, yes. So for anyone out there who's ever seen this, and if you do read this article after, you watch this episode, always know, like, there's like actors have responsibilities, and it's Bob Crewe, the character, not the person.
Yeah.
So
I mean that the whole script is, like I said before, sort of a fictionalized version of their lives.
Right.
It's not word for word, and it's a theatrical version. So yes, they're going to take something that's this big and blow it up. Des wanted Crewe to be the comic relief. Whether he believes that that's how a gay man is, I don't know. I tend to want to play him a little butcher, but that's what he wanted. And that's what I had to do.
Well, thank you very much for answering that question. I know it's a very sensitive topic, and
I get it. I knew all along that Bob Crewe did not appreciate my performance at all. I knew it. He never really talked to me after I met with him in La Jolla. In LA, he never really talked to me. So I'm sad about it because he's an amazing guy. I mean, the time I did spend with him, I was fascinated with him because I said to him, I don't really know what a record producer does. And over lunch, he laid it out. I mean, he taught me everything. I was like, wow, that's really impressive. And to hear him tell it, and then to go back to his house and see, his walls littered with photographs of him with every friggin' celebrity in the world. It was like, and his art, his sculptures and his paintings, plus Warhols and whatnot. I was like, what is going on here? He lived a life. He lived a really grand life. Bob, the fun part about figuring him out was also talking to Bob and Frankie. I got a lot of information from Bob and Frankie about him. Bob told me a story about he went on vacation to South America and came back. I don't know how he came back with 2 ocelot cubs. Think ocelot, wild ocelots, thinking that he was gonna, have these 2 little cute little, and he left and he came back and the apartment was torn apart. Everything was torn apart.
God.
These 2 wild animals in his apartment.
How very Tiger King-esque of him beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say how gay he was. I can say that when I met him, he was kind of gruff. He talked like this and had a kind of butchness to him. He was butch. And I don't know whether that was an act he was putting on for me or whether it was the way he was. But I can imagine being a gay man in the 60s in the record industry having to put on a certain air of masculinity. Even if people knew he was gay, he probably had to put on a certain air of masculinity to sort of pass in the room.
And he had no idea how, I mean, Tommy says he was being pulled 5 ways from Sunday. Like, you were too. You had responsibilities and duties, and it's tough.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a tough road, and I can't say it was an easy rehearsal process for me. I can't say it was an easy preview process for me. I was constantly getting notes from Des about one thing or another, but I got to say, like, Richard Hester was a real touchstone for me. He's the one who sort of kept me sane through it all.
Nice.
I'd be like, I'm doing the show that I did opening night. I'm doing that show. Why does Des hate me? And he would say, because the people on the road are doing bigger, or are more flamboyant, or more crazy, and that's what he wants. I'm like, well, how do I marry the two? You know, how do I make them both work? Because does he want me to be consistent with the opening night performance, which is your job, or does he want me to change everything? You know what I mean? It's a tug of war, really tug of war. But I got the words "you're going to get fired" thrown at me more than once.
Oh,
Wow.
like you kept signing those 6-month writers, and that's all
Hell
that
yeah.
matters.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
But did you ever talk to Des about it? Like the more
No.
like you kept getting those responses, like
No.
no, okay.
And you know what would be really weird? It's like Des would come see the show a couple times a year, and sometimes he would be like, "You're doing amazing work. You're great. I really love what you're doing." And the next time he'd be like, he wouldn't say a word to me, and he wouldn't even look at me. But he's Des. He's a really interesting, very brilliant man. I mean, he's so smart. He tells stories, and you're like, I don't know about 7 out of the 20 words you said. He's a really, really smart guy, and has a brain like a steel trap. I mean, he remembers everything. As far as theater is concerned, he remembers everything.
Right.
He told us a story about the punk rock band that he had, and he sang a ballad to a severed pig's head. Yeah, ask him about that.
We'll have to. Wait, Des, really? Come on board.
He was in, I think he was in the original cast, Canadian cast of Hair.
Well, you did Shakespeare at 11, so you're both okay. Like you're both geniuses.
Frankie's got to be home. Frankie's got to be home by 11, and Peter Gregus was doing Shakespeare at 11.
Oh my God, you're stretching it too far.
I know.
True. That's what we do
know.
on Silhouettes JV podcast. We put these pieces together.
Wait, so
Mercury's always in Taurus with us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mercury's in Taurus, and you did Jersey Boys for a night at Ogunquit, right?
No, I did it for a week.
A week.
Oh, okay.
I literally had just closed Love, Valor, Compassion at the Provincetown Theater in Provincetown, and I was on the dance floor celebrating my ass off, and I get the phone rings, and it's Holly Ann Ruggiero, who was Des's assistant, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm drunk and dancing." Why? She's like, "Can you come to Algonquin tomorrow and play Gyp DeCarlo?"
Oh my
And
God!
I was like, "Why?" She's like,
Why?
we have an audience on. We have our first audience on Tuesday. We have our first audience on Tuesday. My Gyp DeCarlo has pneumonia and he's in the hospital.
Oh wow!
And I know you know it, and I know you're here. I know you're in the Cape. So I literally rented a car, hungover, drove to Algonquin. The cast was on their day off. I went and got fitted for costumes on Monday. Tuesday morning was my put-in rehearsal and tech rehearsal. And Tuesday afternoon was the final dress. And I went on. And then Tuesday night was the first audience.
God.
You did it script in hand, right?
No.
What?
How dare you? How dare you?
Well, hold on. Because
dare you?
During falsettos,
Italian in his audition. He knows the Italian parts.
Wait. During falsettos in 2016, Stephanie J. Block during previews she was sick or something. She couldn't go on, and her understudy went on with a script.
Yeah, that happens.
It's
sometimes.
crazy.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be.
Please,
offensive.
A script. How dare you?
So, did you ever play Gyp on Broadway?
Gyp. No, not on Broadway. No.
No, you never did it on Broadway. Okay.
No. So I did the show for a week, because I started Bronx Tale rehearsals the next Monday.
Okay.
So they had brought in somebody else. They just needed somebody for the first week. So I came in, I did the show for a week. I drove home from Algonquin, Maine to New York City. I got home at like 3 in the morning, got up at 8 and went to rehearsal at like 10.
What a life.
That's the
What a
life.
life.
It was
Did
a great
you-
summer.
When you were on tour with the Bronx Tale, were you with them in Miami?
Yeah.
So I saw you in a Bronx
Well,
Tale.
maybe I was swinging it. I was the swing. I swung the wise guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
I sort of took that job because I hadn't swung a show in a while, and I was like, let me see how this tastes. I didn't like the way it tastes. And it was going on tour, and I had been in New York for so long that I was like, I'm itching to get out.
Yeah.
And Chris Messina was going on the road. So he called me.
I saw him.
Said, he called me. He said, "You better take this job, bitch." So he was swing and dance captain, I think. And no, he wasn't dance captain. He was swing.
Okay.
And we were roommates, and we had a ball. We had a great time. It was an easy tour. It wasn't that hard. I mean, there was a couple weeks here and there that were arduous, but it was pretty easy. And I went on enough, enough, not a lot. And it wasn't a hard show to swing. I mean, I had the easy track. I was swinging the wise guys. They were really cake. I mean,
Really
they like literally had 40-minute breaks.
awesome. I wish I saw it. I missed it.
And they all had one line. That was it. There's only one of the 6 guys I covered had like a scene. Otherwise, like they all had one line. So it was really cake for me.
Wow.
I played Jojo the Whale. Jojo the Whale has a fat suit. It was huge. And it was so much fun because when you wear a fat suit on stage, you could do whatever the hell you want.
That's
hell
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast.
That's so cool.
Fun.
Nice.
Really, really fun.
You were able to buy an apartment in New York.
Yeah,
How good did that feel to own something?
Oh my God. I
In the
actually
city.
owned something before Jersey Boys. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
During Contact, I bought a studio apartment in the West Village.
Nice.
And then I sold that and put the money aside. I moved in with my boyfriend at the time. And then we got married, and then we bought the place in Brooklyn.
Nice.
So it was really fantastic. It was
awesome.
great, a great apartment. And, it's people are always like, how could you stay with something for 11 years? And I did make the choice to stay there 11 years. And like around year 4 or 5, I was like, do I just want to walk away now and try my luck someplace else? See if I can get another job, or do I want to keep the security? Do I want to keep the paycheck? Do I want to invest? Do I want to, do the things that you can't do when you're not working or when you're on a limited run? So I said, I'm going to stay. But if I stay, I gotta, not beat myself up. If I'm not getting a laugh, I've got to, adjust my brain so that I can last this run. And I think I did it.
Yes, you did.
I lasted. Yeah. I mean, I had my days, and everybody does. Everybody has their days. And it's like any other job. It really is like a job. And I know people are like, oh, but you get to be on Broadway. I'm like, yeah, Broadway stages are smelly, and they're dusty, and they're moldy, and you sneeze, and the minute you walk in the theater, and it's really, it's a lot of work to get through 8 shows a week. It's a lot.
And then you get to the 10th anniversary and you get your fucking entrance applause.
That was, fortunately for me, I have my friend Chris Messina, my darling dearest friend Chris Messina, snuck his phone out into the house and videotaped it. And it was the sweetest thing in the world. He sent it to me, and I literally bawled my eyes out. But I didn't know what to do, because it was so awkward. I never expected it. Who the hell's going to give me applause? And I was like, do I bow or like, what do I do? And I'm just staring. Who's playing Frankie? Who's playing Frankie? Was it Rory?
Barry or Spectre?
At the 10th anniversary, it was Wary.
Okay.
It was Barry. I'm staring at Barry, and he's staring at me, and he's like, and I'm like, oh no, what do we do? Oh my God, that was a magical, like, besides opening and Tony Awards, that was another like magical night. It was so fun.
Always an applause.
And everybody, the alumni were all backstage for like the last quarter of the show, so we were all just like, oh my God, yeah! It's really fun to see everyone. Very fun. It was a highlight, to say the least.
Of course. Now you're in a show called Halston on Netflix coming up.
Yes. I play. It's a Ryan Murphy. I'm a Ryan Murphy boy now.
There you go. You are.
It's a Ryan Murphy produced miniseries directed by the lovely Dan Minahan, who is a genius. He directed the last episode of Game of Thrones. I mean, this guy's serious. Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
And he directs a lot of Ryan Murphy stuff. It's about Halston, who was a designer in the 70s.
Yes.
And he was Liza Minnelli. Liza Minnelli was like his muse. He like did all those sequin pantsuits for her and whatnot. And I play another designer named Bill Blass, who was also very, very, very big during the 70s. And I'm in the second episode, which is called The Battle of Versailles, which is the first time American designers showed at Paris Fashion Week. So there's 5 designers, Bill Blass, Oscar de la Renta, Anne Klein, Steve Burrows, and Halston. Wow. And we're all vying for press and, pushing each other around and jostling each other at the airport. But it's fun. And Ian McGregor plays Halston. Yeah.
What?
I got 2 scenes with Ian McGregor.
Yo.
And I got to be kind of catty with him, which is really fun.
Yes.
Look at you. I need to see it.
May 14th it comes out. I don't know if you know Krista Rodriguez, who's another Broadway gal.
Yes.
Krista.
She's playing Liza Minnelli.
Queen of Belting.
Yes. Oh my God, of course. I saw all those articles. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So that's coming out. What have I done since Jersey Boys? I did a play off Broadway called Up the Rabbit Hole. I played a daddy.
Daddy.
An older gay man who dates a younger gay man with a coke habit. And then I did My Fair Lady. I played Henry Higgins, the swarthiest ever. Swarthy, British and swarthy. No. And then the next summer, actually, I went to Provincetown to do Love, Valor, Compassion at the Provincetown Playhouse, which was the theater where Eugene O'Neill started his originally produced his plays and wrote and played and actually.
Oh wow! History.
And, my friend David Drake, who's a genius performer, actor, writer, director, he was taking over the theater as artistic director for the first time, and he called me and he said, I only have one equity contract and I need you. And I was like, oh, so sweet. That I got to play British twins. I got to play twins, John and James. John and James Jekyll. No subtlety there. And John was the bad one and James was the good one. But it's a beautiful play. It takes place in 1994. It's about 8 gay men who go to this one of their houses upstate New York on July 4th. Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. So it's a 3-act play, and it's a Terrence McNally play. It's just poetic and lyrical and stunning. Exquisite. But I literally had a scene where I had to play against myself.
That's so fun. How did that work?
With a blanket.
Really?
No blanket. Blanket, no blanket. James talked up here and was very, very sweet. And John talked down here and was very, very bitter. It was John James. It was insane. It was insane. But it was such a fun summer, and I had a ball.
Yes, darling.
And it was lovely to be challenged like that. It was actually some of the hardest work I've ever done, because it was a play about AIDS, and I came out in the 80s and lived through all of it, and it was sort of reliving a lot of that stuff for me and the other actors too that were my age. It was really amazing to do in Provincetown with this gay audience and this gay play, and Terrence McNally actually came to see it, which was miraculous. He was there opening night. It was crazy. And the whole cast winds up naked at the end. So for the curtain call, we'll come on in white robes and we bow. And then we brought Terrence up on stage and we applauded. And then we circled him and we opened our robes and we wangled our willies.
Oh my God.
We missed a show. My goodness.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Rest in peace, Terrence.
Yeah, I know, man. Oof, that was a big loss. And then I went on to
On the Table.
Bronx Tale. On the Table. Yes. On the Table is really great. I gotta say, my friend Diana Arnold, she was a waitress in some of the most exclusive restaurants in New York. And she wrote this piece for the stage called On the Table, which is about her life as a waitress, sort of paralleling her life as a person. And these two sort of dynamics happen. And it's just beautifully written and beautifully acted. And she produced it as a one-woman show for a couple of years here and there. And then she, during the pandemic, just said, screw it, I'm going to make it a film. Mm-hmm. So she made a short film, and it's at Manhattan Reps Short Film Festival. You could see it the whole month of May. It's really lovely. She does a lot of direct address to the camera, and then like talks to people and like takes the word and whatnot. And I play the man who knows exactly what he wants. I know exactly what I want. It's very fun. And and then we'll see when theater happens again. We'll see if I'm happening with it.
Yes, well, fingers crossed. Well, it was wonderful news yesterday that like the promo.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
What show are you going to be at on opening
Jersey Boys?
Jersey Boys.
Of course.
Really?
Front row. We'll be there.
Front row.
Yes.
Yeah. Really?
Really?
Of course.
Of course.
I'm going to Hadestown. I'm going to Hadestown.
Well,
I've seen Jersey Boys now.
The last musical we saw before the pandemic was Jersey Boys.
It's January 24th, so we had a little bit of time. Mm-hmm.
And the last show I saw was Hadestown.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw it on March 11th, the day before the shutdown.
Wow.
Yeah, the last show.
Wow.
And I want to sort of be there when it opens up again, because I just love that show.
Way down, Hadestown.
It's so good.
I do need to see it.
It really is. It really is good. It's electric. And honestly, Reeve Carney, I don't know. He needs to play Frankie Valli. He's got to do it with that. I mean, he's so. I love geeking out about Reeve because he's so healthy when he sings. And the switching between registers is amazing. Yeah. And he is so charismatic and passionate. There are so many amazing people who have played Orpheus, but he is on fire.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
He's on fire.
It's a beautiful performance. It's a glorious show. Amber Gray.
Nothing about it. I need to see it.
I could see Amber Gray read the phone book. She's amazing in Natasha Pierre. She was amazing in Hadestown. She's stunning.
I think this is a great place to wrap up. Thank you guys so much. I mean, Peter Gregus, the stars were in alignment when we arranged the sit down. Thank you so much to Jennifer Namo.
Thank you
so much for reaching out to Peter and putting us in touch. And you know, it really.
We got a text from you, and we're like, "What? Like,
Hey, do you guys want to talk to me about Jersey Boys?"
And this is just so amazing. Season 2 has already started off so wonderfully, and we're so happy to just keep on going and going and going.
Like the
And
money on TV. Yes.
everyone, this has been another episode of Silhouettes JB podcast. Find us wherever you can listen to podcasts: Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts should you feel so inclined. Find us on YouTube.
We're
all the
here now.
videos on YouTube
Yes.
right now.
Silhouettes JB podcast.
And
on Instagram at Silhouettes JB podcast _.
Can't forget about that good government _ run Melrose. And everyone follow Peter Gregus on Instagram.
Petey the dog.
Petey the dog.
Petey the dog. Petey the doggy.
Petey the doggy. Follow Peter Gregus.
Yeah.
Watch.
Instagram,
is it DOGEY?
DOGGY.
GGY.
Okay,
so, yep.
Watch Halston.
Watch
and
Halston. Look for On the Table at Manhattan Reps Short Film Festival. And keep your fingers crossed that I get another Broadway show.
Hell yes.
Of course.
And a salute.
Hasta
A
luego.
salute.
A salud. Jindan.
Ooh.
And we're out.